My guest today is Lauren Schuivens. Lauren is a certified meditation and mindfulness instructor, trained by Buddhist monks, and she's the founder of the Samavira method of meditation. Lauren went through childhood trauma and depression and has turned her mess into a message to give it meaning to help others. Lauren has spoken and facilitated all around the world at large events, including Mindvalley and Thrive Global. And in this age of dopamine hits and social media, she helps people to find inner peace and contentment in the moment. Lauren, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm excited.
I know that we met in one of the WhatsApp groups of the Amsterdam founders, which a mutual friend of ours both runs. And then, I reached out when I realized what you did in terms of the meditation, which I'm massively into. And then I read a little bit about what your website says and what you do and where you've been and who you've worked with. And I thought, wow, she sounds fascinating. I'd love to get her on the show. So thank you for coming on. It's an absolute pleasure to have you here.
Glad you reached out. Likewise.
So I read a little bit about your story, and obviously you got into meditation or helping people now all around the world in terms of meditation. And there's a lot of meditators who listen to this. But I'd love you to tell your backstory about what happened in your childhood and how it led you into this path of meditation and mindfulness.
Yes, definitely. And I mean, it's obviously the whole story is a long story, and there are several different things that happened. And it's true what you're saying. I didn't just get into meditation because I thought, oh, this sounds fun. Let me look into that. There was an actual reason because I was looking for something to help me get through that rough patch I was going through. A few things that happened that made life feel not doable anymore, that made life feel so challenging that I wanted to give up, honestly. But I think one of the highlights, or the lowlights, I should say, is having been raped twice in my life. First, as someone who had never had sex yet at all. I was still a virgin at the time, but my virginity was taken from me by force. And when I recovered from that scenario, a few years later, it happened again. When I was finally crawling out, it came my way again. It happened again, and that was an experience that was so not only hurtful, painful, physically, emotionally, mentally, of course, but it made me feel like I'm not worth anything. I'm not only not worth living, but I lost all my self-respect. I thought it was my fault. I thought, what am I doing wrong to attract this not just once, but twice in my life? Two totally different experiences, two totally different people, right? The second time, long story short, what happened is that I was drugged. I was going out with my friends. I was drugged and ended up I woke up in the morning in a bed that I did not recognize with someone next to me that I did not recognize. And when I tried to when I tried to literally escape, find the keys and let myself out of the door, the guy woke up. And when I confronted him, because I was on a date, so I definitely would not have gone home with someone else. It does not make any sense. So when I confronted him with what he did, he said, "Don't complain. I could have done much worse to you." And I thought, how is that possible? How is that possible? And like I said, this was the second time it happened to me. And coming out of that situation, not knowing if I had been infected, the particular guy, he was originally from an African country. So I've been on HIV prevention medication for 6 months, not knowing if I caught something, right? And I was already dealing with what happened. And that on top, I was out of it. I dropped out of classes at university. I couldn't deal with life anymore. I felt that I am not lovable. I am not I'm not worth anything. My self-respect, my self-worth, they were already at a low point at that time of life, but they went down the drain. It was nothing left.
Mm.
And I was desperately looking for something to help me. In addition, another instance that I was already depressed at the time, but I was um, robbed. I was working in a store. I was robbed. Another guy, a different story, held a gun to my heart. And even though at that time I was already not well, I was already suicidal, at that time life flashed in front of my eyes. And I found that inner willpower, I can say, and thinking and feeling, I don't want to die. I'm not done yet. I'm not done with life yet. And it really helped me reconnect to that inner survival instinct that I thought I lost at that
Mm.
time. So, and all these, of course, looking back, all these experiences in life, I know it's something rather common to say these days, but it really, 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 truly helped me grow into the person that I am. And not just that, like you said in the introduction, turn my mess into a message, because what I do in life right now is a direct effect, a direct consequence of the things I went through. I was told by psychiatrists that I was so far gone, I was so low, I was so depressed that they put me on medication, on antidepressants before the regular age. I was 17 at the time, and normally before 18 they would not even consider, but they thought, okay, last resort, we don't know what else to do. And they told me I would not be able to go through life without antidepressants. Also because it's a predisposition that runs in our family, a genetic predisposition that they said I was born with, which is why I couldn't handle what happened, which is why it affected me perhaps even more than it normally would, even though of course this is awful for anyone who it happens to. And after a few years of being on antidepressants, dealing with everything I was dealing with, I thought, no, this can't be my life. This cannot be the way. It, I was, it did not make sense. And long story short, I was looking for a way out. I had been searching for years already, couldn't find it. And I thought, this cannot be it. This can't be my life. This can be my way of going through life until the end. I just could not make peace with it. I tried, I tried every possible way, but I could not make peace with that. And indeed, I ended up in a Buddhist monastery. And I that was the life-changing moment that helped me not only crawl out of the darkness, crawl out of the deep, deep, deep hole I found myself in, but it really turned things all the way around. And I am now currently using that pain, that hurt, that everything I lost, and not only regained it, but I'm now using to support others in dealing with their life challenges, whatever it may be. It may not be the same as the things I went through, but everyone has challenges in life. And I can truly say that I have never been happier. I've never been more fulfilled in my life than I have been the last few years. So it's been a 180-degree, I would almost say, personality change. My mom said not long ago that she doesn't recognize me anymore, but in a good way. Lauren, you've changed so much. How did you do that? What happened? And that's
Oh,
the biggest compliment I think I someone could give me. My own mother. Yeah.
well, they always say that diamonds are made under pressure, and my God, did you go under a lot of pressure over all those? Firstly, from my heart to your heart, I'm really sorry to hear that you went through all that. I know we spoke before, but you hadn't gone in so much detail. It's like, whoa, kind of like holding back the tears, kind of thing.
Yeah.
But as we discussed off camera before, because both of us have studied Buddhism, and one of the things they do say in Buddhism is about reincarnation. And
Mm,
I think I said this to you. I truly believe that as Einstein says, energy never dissipates; it just moves from one form to another. So I
mhm,
believe that life, having had a near-death experience, is almost like, why would you come down as you or I? Why would you not come down as the king, the queen, the prince, the pauper, the infant, the limp, to experience life in different ways and different experiences, but also play out karma, but also kind of grow and evolve each time. And my God, with you having gone through all of that, you're like an angel because you've obviously gone through so many lifetimes with so many experiences that you're testing yourself almost to the ultimate to see if you can still go through all of that and come out the angel that you are today, which is beautiful. And you really have turned your mess into a message to give it meaning. And I
mm,
know because I do the same. I haven't gone through as like what you've gone through, but
mm.
the gift of giving to the others is such a beautiful thing, and what you're
Thank you.
doing is absolutely beautiful. So, um, I salute you for you. I
Mm,
think it's amazing, and it's lovely having got to know you now with the kind of pre-interview and this as well. It's just
mm,
lovely to see somebody who really, really, truly is going out there and really, truly helping other people from a place of heart, but also a place of knowing as well. So, pat yourself on the back because fair play to you. It's amazing.
Thank you.
It's
I really appreciate your words. Yeah. And the
absolutely.
love that you give to me and to those that you support in your work. Because I know,
Oh, well,
yeah,
Lauren,
the impact you're creating is Thank
But
you.
you're living your true mission in life, and it's beautiful. I know it, obviously having gone through such the hardship, but I think sometimes purpose is created through those messes and messages that we can create from what we've learned in life. And my God, did you go through some? So tell me a little bit about then what was the kind of the translating moment or come to God moment or come to Buddha moment or whatever it is that kind of made you go, okay, I want to go over and train with Buddhist monks and learn how to do meditation. What kind of took you down that path?
And it's interesting because the way you pose the question insinuates that it was a choice, but trust me, it wasn't. I was so desperate. I was like, anything, anywhere, anytime, please, please help me. I don't know who or what I was praying to at the time anymore, but just please help me. Send something my way. And I was online Googling. This was back in 2014 when meditation was heard of, but not as widespread and common, and everyone has heard of it pretty much these days. I was Googling and something to help what to do when depressed, what to do when not wanting to live anymore. And I came across this thing called meditation. I thought, I've heard of that somewhere, someplace before. It could be interesting. Why not? Nothing to lose, literally. And long story short, I ended up signing up for believe it or not, an online course that was created and guided by Buddhist monks from Thailand. They were pretty difficult to understand because their accent was so strong, but I was, but it felt intriguing. So even though I couldn't really understand everything that they were trying to teach through the online course, right? It felt so intriguing and I kept coming back to it. And the thing is, I found out that if you were able to finish that online course, I think it was 6 weeks or 7 weeks total, you could apply for a scholarship to go to Thailand and study and live with the monks and learn from them in person, in real life, in their monastery where they live 24/7 and where they teach, of course, as well, because these were teaching monks, right? There's different types of monks, those who focus on their own growth and enlightenment, and those who do that in addition to spreading and teaching the practice of meditation and all the Buddhist teachings that often surround that, right? So these were teaching monks who dedicated part of their time to spreading the practice, spreading the teaching, spreading the wisdom that they hold, because it's incredible. So I thought, wow, this could be something. This and the glimmer, like a glimmer of hope coming back up. And let me tell you, in that moment, it felt everything. It felt like a potential lifeline, right?
Mhm.
So I finished. I took 2 years to finish the course, but I did it. 6 weeks course, finish it in 2 years' time. I applied for a scholarship. I received it. I got it. I went to Thailand, and at first it was simply a 10-day stay, but those 10 days gave me a peek into what life could feel like instead, or what life could be like instead. Because even though I wasn't healed or cured or anything at that time yet, it felt like there might be something here for me. This might be the way out or the way through, as I now prefer saying, because I don't think there is a way out. And you just alluded to it as well. In the end, I don't believe it leaves or you release it, but it transmutes, it reintegrates. I believe everyone carries their experiences with them throughout life, but they change, they transmute, they transform, and they can indeed transform into something positive, no matter how big, heavy, negative it may have felt earlier on at that time, right? So after those 10 days, I thought, wow, this practice of meditation, I'll try and stick with it. Didn't work. Of course, I could not build the habit because I was still dealing with a lot of the things that I was dealing with. However, a few years after that, I received an invitation to go back to the monastery, again, apply for a scholarship, and become a certified meditation teacher, learning from the same Buddhist monks. This time, multiple weeks, 24/7 living in the monastery. Again, I thought, at that time, I was figuring out what I could do with all the experiences that I went through. And I was looking into perhaps organizing retreats, hosting workshops, whatnot. I thought, okay, this could fit in perfectly. Again, it was not a pre-planned thing at all. It was something that passed by, a train that passed by, and I jumped on it. That's literally what happened. So I applied for the second scholarship, went back again, and yeah, that's when things started developing and kicking off. And yeah, I'll share a few more details on that, of course, in a moment, but that's how I ended up there in the first place.
Lovely. And I think it does make people don't realize it does make a massive difference. I was over in Dharamshala where the Dalai Lama was and spent, a bit of time there meditating as well. And it is when you're in the energy of it, it's
Yeah.
amazing how, you bring more of it to you and you kind of learn more and more and just experience different people, different ways of doing things as well. So it's a beautiful thing to actually go out there and do it. And I'm sure you've taken that now, obviously yourself and tweaked it slightly, and now you've created your own meditation methodology in terms of the Samavira. Do you want to just talk a little bit about the Samavira methodology and how it works and what how it can help people?
Of course, yes. So, I mean, over the years, and I'm still in direct contact with these monks who taught me and who trained me. But what I basically did is I became a certified meditation teacher and I received so many learnings, so many teachings, so much wisdom. It was so incredible and so overwhelming. So basically, what I did is I took months and restructured everything that I received, everything that I've learned. I went through all my notes multiple times and I turned it into a workshop at first. And I was giving this workshop, and people were asking me more and more questions about meditation. And one thing led to another. I went back to my notes. I thought, oh, could I maybe create like a short course out of it or so? Again, nothing was pre planned. One thing, I was walking the path, and the path started revealing itself step by step, if that makes sense. And I um I didn't change the meditation techniques that I learned. I didn't even change the meditation method per se. However, I restructured it, which I think was very helpful, especially in our um, the busy lives that we lead. It's very structured, easy to follow, step by step kind of framework. And a lot of people who tried meditation one way or another through apps or through a certain lineage, and for whom it didn't click, them coming to our courses because we attract a lot of people who've tried, didn't work, and they're like, is there another way? They find us and going through the structured framework that we provide, but still with a lot of depth and authenticity, and coming from this ancient old practice, because of course it's nothing new. We know about it since recently, but it's nothing new. And then finishing our courses saying things like, okay, now it makes sense. This is something that I can apply, that I can use. Now it's a practical tool for me to implement in my life and to support my daily life with. So over time, I developed more and more programs, full-on meditation training, then a teacher training where I train and certify other meditation teachers, so people who want to also become a meditation teacher. Then we developed a corporate wellness program because I was asked about it. Then a meditation community, of course. So step by step, more and more, which turned into the Samavira meditation brand organization, if you will, that exists now. And and I decided to also quit my job, focus or dedicate my time and my life full time to this because I really believe in the impact that it can create, not just the practice of meditation, but the the practice or the framework of figuring out what meditation techniques and variations of the different meditation techniques that exist that work best for each individual that finds us and each individual that goes through our courses and trainings. Because there's are many meditation techniques, many styles, many lineages, and most people don't know that if one way doesn't work, that says nothing about all the other ways. So a lot of people who gave up then try one last time, why not? Nothing to lose. And they're like, yes, got it. This makes sense. This is something I can do. And just even just that is why I do what I do. It's
I love it because like you, I've tried loads of different techniques, and as I told you before, I'm a master teacher healer of five modalities of healing, and I didn't do those just to kind of stack up. I did those to get different perspectives, probably of different things, and I think that's lovely. And I read a little bit about yours. It's not just about sitting there and sitting still. There's actual actionable things that you do during the meditations, if I'm correct, as well,
Mhm.
which makes it different. Do you want to just highlight a little bit about what those are as well?
Course, yes. There's a whole variety of ways to meditate, including walking meditation. I think now we have dynamic. There's more and more and more. We did decide to focus on a seated meditation practice. However, we don't just sit still, close our eyes, and do nothing because I believe that actually brings you probably in most cases further away from where you are, quote unquote, trying to get or trying to be. But like I said, there are many, we teach 7 different meditation techniques and variations of all those techniques because it turns out people who are, for example, more visual, they generally do much better and find it much easier to use more visual-based techniques. And different techniques, breathing technique, body scan technique, you can use them, you can apply them, you can be guided through or guide yourself through in different ways. So that's how we help people figure out what works most effectively for them, and based on how their nervous system works, based on how their brain works, based on how their day is going as well. Um, so so we focus very much on personalization of the practice and helping people personalize their practice, in addition to what we call embodied meditation, because I realized the way I learned the meditation method that I learned from the monks is very much focused on including the body in the practice. Doesn't mean standing up and walking around. That's another version called walking meditation or mindful walking either. But a lot of more modernized meditation techniques focus very much on the mind and are to some extent, even I would say activating for the mind, while that is kind of, in a sense, opposite of why a lot of people want to take up the practice of meditation. A lot of people want to empty their mind, stop thinking, okay, unwind the nervous system. So the meditation method I learned from the monks, which I now call embodied meditation, really focuses on guiding the mind inside the body towards the center of the body, located just above the navel, the belly button, and then guiding the mind inside the middle of your body, inside the belly. And in my experience, and also in my learnings, my teaching, the teachings I received, this is one of the most effective ways to help guide the mind to drop into what's called the meditative state. And because this is something that can be taught in a very, I would almost say, pragmatic, structured format, unlike sometimes where it feels like this is magnificent, but it's abstract and hard to grasp, if you will. This is something that can be learned by people who are so busy, they only have 15 minutes per day, or people who have minds that are so full, it feels like meditation is not for them because they can't stop thinking. But meditation is not about stopping your thoughts. Meditation is about coming back to yourself, starting to relax body, mind, and nervous system, and the effect of doing so in a way that works for you. Once again, personalization is super important. There is no one size fits all when it comes to meditation. But the effect of this is a mind that becomes more and more still. But it's the
Yeah.
effect, not the goal and not the focus, because that will bring you further, further and further away from it. Yeah.
I totally agree because there's so many people who come up to me and say, "Oh, I sit there, I keep suddenly thinking about my washing or my kids, or I've got to do this," and I just say, "Look, it doesn't matter. Just let the thoughts come and let them pass, and then get back to your breathing and get back to your feeling the different parts of your energy in your body and everything like that." And they're like, "Oh, really? Oh, I didn't realize. I thought I had to sit there with no thoughts." I said, "I don't know. I've been meditating for years, and I find that
Very
virtually
hard.
impossible."
Exactly, exactly. Even the monks, you think that they never think? They're still humans in this current form, right? So it's pretty much impossible,
Yeah,
at
no,
least.
absolutely.
Yeah.
And one of the things you mentioned there is one of the kind of positives of meditation. Do you want to go through kind of like the other key, aspects that really why meditation is so useful and positive in your life?
Of course, yes. Do you mean in my life or in terms more in general?
Anybody's life,
Mhm, mhm,
like, in terms of what meditation can be used for, if that makes
mhm.
sense.
That's an amazing question. I think we'll need about 3 hours to to cover that topic. Because I mean, we don't even have the complete picture of all the things that meditation can help us with. We're still figuring this out on a weekly basis by now through scientific research, right? However, what we do know so far is pretty promising. Obviously, I'm biased as a meditation teacher, but it's incredible the realm of information that we're figuring out about ourselves to the extent of us knowing in the first place how we work, because we don't know more than half, I would say, about ourselves in the first place. But some of the more practical things, let's say, that I find is, besides, of course, the relaxation part, which can help greatly with dealing with anxiety, people going through panic attacks, depression, this kind of burnout, that side of the picture. But on a daily level, let's say, because meditation works directly with not only your mind, but your brain and nervous system. helping to, it's almost relearning, because we all used to know this. It's not that you're learning something new, you're relearning what you used to know but forgot, or the body forgot, I should say, the nervous system forgot. So when the mind and the nervous system become reused again, or become used again to being in a more relaxed or a state of unwinding, basically, it has an effect on, I can't yet say every part of life, but almost every part of life. Better sleep, because you're able to fall asleep faster and go into sleep deeper, right? Which of
Mm.
course has its own whole realm of positive effects, but also your mind becoming sharper, which leads to you becoming more productive because you can focus longer and better and more um, deeper connection with yourself, and through that being able to connect more deeply with others, which is another big
Mm.
part. Because meditation, a lot of, and me too in the beginning, a lot of us see it as a practice for yourself, and I agree that's where it should start. You always have to start with yourself with anything you try and do, but it has an effect on those around you as well, through you and with you. Even research that has now shown that a group of meditators coming together or reaching a, what's it called, like a minimum amount needed. There's a special word for it. Hitting the minimum amount, let's say, of meditators in a city, and that's creating a ripple effect in that city in terms of bringing down crime rates. Not because those who were
Wow.
committing the crimes started meditating, no, but because the amount of meditators in that environment increased, and it had a correlation with a decrease in crime rates. This has been shown in several scientific studies already, mostly conducted in the US, but I'm pretty sure in Europe it would work the same. It would be interesting to see how that goes. And things like that. So it has an effect not just on your body, on your mind, on your nervous system, but also in your own daily life, and the effect of those around you through the connection and being able to connect more deeply with those around. But also, we all know that we pick up things from those around us. If someone besides us is so stressed, it can be pretty challenging to remain calm and remain grounded yourself, right? We are humans. We are susceptible to what's happening around us. That's what makes us human, fortunately and unfortunately, sometimes, right? So the realm of benefits of meditation, you can see it from a very physical perspective, a very mental, very emotional perspective, a very spiritual perspective, and there is a list that's growing more and more and more in terms of what we find out regarding what this practice can support us with. It's amazing.
I, I totally agree. I think, and for anybody listening out there that's more non-spiritual and kind of
Mm.
business-like and have heard about it, one of the things just for those non-spiritual people is I do believe that if you sit there, meditate and visualize maybe your goals. For example, I did have a client who is a billionaire client based in Portugal. And I was saying, do you have a morning practice? And he said, well, not really, Doug. He said, but I do write down all my goals in the morning and have a longer term vision. And then I lie on my couch in my office and I close my eyes and I visualize all those tasks I need to do in a state of celebration. And I visualize my longer term goals in a state of celebration. And I don't know why it just seems to happen. It's amazing. So I think, for those listening, you're totally right, Lauren. I think, it is very good for resetting the nervous system. And I think for those in the business side of things that might be listening, that money is an exchange for energy, time, knowledge, and experience, and time, knowledge, and experience all take energy. So if you think about it, your nervous system is energy, emotion, your emotions. And if you can reset that into a calm state so that you're not triggered as much, you're more focused, you're not getting distracted, you're not overthinking, then you're going to get more done in less time and less stress. So that makes meditation very powerful. And as we can see, this particular guy I'm talking about, the billionaire guy in Lisbon, his brother is an amazing guy as well, who is great with people, great kind of business guy. He's kind of like a C-level exec in, one of the big kind of multinationals, but he's not a billionaire. And I wonder whether the difference of those two brothers just might be the fact that the guy meditates and visualizes what he wants every day. So he puts himself in the energy of his dreams and his goals and his passions, and it gets there. And I also think that meditation is almost connection to universal consciousness or whatever might want to call it. It could be Buddha, it could be Allah, it could be God, it could be whatever. Because when you go into that kind of divine realm, I sometimes believe that this brain is like a receptor rather than a storage unit, and you're connecting into the universal database. and you can bring down inspiration. So I think there's so many benefits to it, and I love what you're doing and love how you're helping people. And I think definitely one of the biggest things which has helped me as well, because I went through my own depression, I went through my own stuff. It helped me regulate that central nervous system, and it helped me even in difficult circumstances visualize, you know, difficult people and how to deal with them in a better manner as well. So I love everything that you're doing and stuff like that. Now, one of the things in terms of Samavira is that it's become incredibly successful, and you have been incredibly successful getting on stages at the big things like Mindvalley is global, obviously, with
Mm.
Vision, he's an amazing guy, and then
Mm.
obviously Thrive Global as well. So I know there's a lot of people out there who are, meditators, healers, facilitators, meditation teachers, and they would probably love to know what was the secret sauce that got you from this girl who was, really hit badly, in terms of, childhood trauma and teenage and, even early 20s trauma, to then become this global kind of superstar who's speaking on stages all around the world and is attracting a lot of clients to your retreats and to your communities and to your meditation practices. So there's a lot of people out there that would love to like follow in your footsteps that might not have the business acumen that you might think just comes second nature to yourself, but actually
Mm.
someone out there would go, wow, I'd love to know how she did it. Is there
Mm.
any tips, tricks, or things that you can help people with who are maybe following the same path, but maybe haven't got the same business acumen that you might or would love to have?
I love that question, and I'm glad you asked it. It's a great one, actually. I would say that the main part of what got me from there to here, and hopefully way beyond, right? Because our work in this world is not yet done by far, is that I was able to not only accept, not only be okay with, but really integrate not only all the experiences of my life, but also integrate all the parts of me, all the different sides of me, including the sides I was not as happy with, all the sides that I thought, should I change it about myself? Should I? All the questions, should I this or that? I was able to take a moment, and it's not in a particular moment, but for a few years, I took regular moments, take a few steps back, not just one or two, but take multiple steps back and try to figure out, and when I say figure out, not just with my mind, but with my body, with my felt sense, with my um sometimes hard to put into words, but with my, some call it intuition, some call it felt sense, with my being, let's say, figure out what fits, what doesn't, what is authentic, what isn't. Am I trying to be someone I am authentically not? Am I pushing out parts of myself that are actually authentically me, and it's more about accepting them, integrating them versus trying to change them? And I know this might seem like an abstract answer so far, but what I'm trying to say is I was able to become one part, one piece again, because I felt I lost myself in so many different directions, so many different ways, and I had a piece there and a piece there, and everything was floating around, and I was so not grounded, so not connected to myself. Everything started coming back into alignment, coming back into flow, coming back into clarity, also coming back when I gathered all those pieces and reconnected all the parts of myself and being okay, not only okay, more than okay with the person who I was and was becoming, all the things that I had gone through in life. And then it started, like I said, turning around, switching, and leading me forward instead of keep pulling me backwards like it had until then. So I think anyone who's trying to be somewhere where they're not yet, to bridge that gap, the first step would be to come back to yourself and really be with and in yourself. I would almost say, as I briefly refer to the specific meditation technique where we guide our mind inside our body. Ever since I learned that technique in the monastery, and ever since I've applied it, no longer just in my meditation practice, but any moment of day that I remember or am able to, I literally became a different person, but not a new person. I became myself again. And
Mm,
from that state, and that, yeah, also state of awareness, a state of being, things start not only unfolding, but clarity comes back. Things start making sense. You see more clearly, you can think more clearly, and you start knowing or figuring out what does or doesn't fit. Because oftentimes you want things, and we want them for the wrong reasons, right? Ego
Mm,
comes into play, either fear or, I want to be seen by others as this or that because that's what I think would make me feel good. But in the end, if it's not authentically you, it will not be fulfilling.
mm,
And sometimes the answer may be not what you expect. The clarity that you're receiving may not be what you had thought would be for you. I didn't plan what I'm doing right now, but now it feels like I have no choice. I tried to give it up for a while when certain things, external things came to play, but I can't. I couldn't, and now I no longer want to. I'm
I
at
love
peace with it. Yeah, and I would say
it.
that would be the main step, the first step to start with.
So many gems there to break that down. Like, firstly, the acceptance of all parts of yourself. I love that because I always say that, God created, night and day, darkness and light.
Yeah.
And it's to understand that there's a balance in the universe of that. So, it's almost like if you go through those dark times, don't worry about them, just try and learn from them. And you talked about reframing to go forward as well. So
Yeah.
if you have dark times when you're going through difficult times, like the worst thing that you went through in terms of a woman is okay, instead of playing the victim and going, okay, oh my God, which is horrible, it's like, okay, what did I learn from that? How can I grow from that? And how can I utilize the learnings of how I got through that and that what helped me to maybe help others in some way or form, which is what you've obviously done, which is beautiful. Um, but I think we can do that in any forks of life. And also the other thing in terms of that dark times, if we have a kind of like a gamified viewpoint that there's darkness and light and they're balanced, you kind of think, well, I've had so much crap in my life, I must be leveraged for amazing times in the future.
Exactly.
So that's brilliant. So every time anybody who's listening to this, if you're ever going through a tough time, go instead of going, oh my God, this is terrible, change it to say, oh, okay, I'm going through some really tough times now. That means the future, I've got some good stuff coming.
Exactly. Love it.
And even if that's not true, but by gamifying and setting that intention, you
Mm,
might just create it as well, because you're
perfect.
putting the thoughts in place, and thoughts lead to emotions and feelings, and they lead to energy, and you can potentially pull that into you as well. So I think that's a beautiful thing. I think the acceptance as well. The other thing you mentioned, which I loved there, is basically, I think what you were saying is to be your authentic self, to go with the flow of what your heart self, higher self leads you towards, and
Mhm.
embody that with grace. And you'll bring more of the flow of energy and flow of success to you without having to try as hard, because probably you'll be aligned to something that you love doing. I would say love's an acronym for lots of vibrant energy, and it'll just naturally flow into you, and
Mhm.
naturally you become what you attract. I interviewed Dr. Joe Vitale last week, and he
Mhm.
said it's not just about visualizing or affirming, it's actually becoming that, and embodying that energy as if
Exactly.
you're already there. And
Exactly.
obviously, because you become your authentic self by the sounds of things, because you're living to that heartfelt purpose, and because you're really genuinely trying to help people, the flow of energy is just coming towards you. And I think that's lovely.
Mm.
And that really does answer the question amazingly, amazingly well. So if anybody's listening, do what Lauren does. It's definitely the flow, and it's worked for me as well. And I have to say, you also mentioned about ego, which I always say is an acronym for edging God out, and or Earth Guide only.
Mm.
And that again is, it's so true that our ego gets in the way in terms of like ego at being fearful, as you said, or being I want to be the big man or big woman, whatever. And I think that can often get in the way of our true. It might work in a short-term basis, but even if you achieve something through an ego state, you're not necessarily going to be fulfilled. Whereas if you achieve something from a heartfelt state, then the fulfillment comes, and that through service
Mm.
and giving, which what you're doing, and starting with that really works, which I love. And I actually, you reminded me of, I interviewed John Matone, who was Steve Jobs' coach. And he said on the radio show that we did together, he said he put a book out with the intention of making money and standing on stages. He didn't sell any of them. He relaunched the book about 10 years later because his son was just coming out of university and wanted to be able to, get a job. And John thought, this book could help him, and put the intention out of helping people with his book with a different title. And he sold millions of copies. It became a New York Times bestseller. So
Mm.
I think a lot of the time it's intention behind that as well, in terms of that. In terms of your intention going forward, what's your intention for yourself and Samavira in terms of where you want it to go?
Well, intention for myself, this is a work in progress. When I look back, which is important to do regularly, I'm happy, I'm proud. I feel wow, like I had if you would have asked me this a few years ago, I wouldn't have believed that that was possible. My vision for moving forward is to keep walking this path, keep walking the talk, not unimportantly, and always honestly looking at myself and asking myself, are all the pieces still here? Am I still the complete authentic being that I aspire to be slash stay? In terms of Samavira, it's actually, I love that you're asking this question because we have our meditation trainings, our courses, our corporate programs, all of that. The next step for our organization is to partner up with local, soon to be or locally existing meditation teachers. So we can create local meditation hubs where people can find a meditation studio, meditation workshop, sessions, classes, community nearby, offline, because I think more and more people want to connect offline, which I'm very happy about because it simply isn't the same world. I love online. Look, we are here connecting. I love being on your podcast and I love that we can. And at the same time, I would love to connect more deeply offline again as well. So we are partnering with local meditation teachers or people who want to become a meditation teacher, who want to partner up and help continue growing to reach more people online, offline, different languages, different locations, and that way grow and spread this further and further as far away as we can, as possible. Yeah.
Well, having seen a little bit about what you do, I'm sure you will because it's a beautiful practice. And you're right, the idea, I think this day and age with the AI and so many videos all over the place on social media, actually coming together in community like we used to around a campfire as such back in the days when there wasn't any social media or anything like that, is something that's always very enjoyable and is meaningful and comes from a place of connection and place of heart. And I think having been into, many, whether it be Tony Robbins or Joe Dispenza or whoever, when you've been to these events, and I've also seen your events where you're bringing people together in a collective meditative state, it is
Mm,
very powerful, very, very
mm,
powerful.
yeah.
And even I find people in church going back years ago or whatever, people do find that when they go and collectively pray or collectively, and God gave us two ears and one mouth, so we should be probably meditating twice as much and listening to the universe as speaking and praying. So
Yeah.
this is why meditation is so important as well. So I absolutely love what you do. And in terms of yourself, is there any kind of obviously trying to grow the thing, obviously getting the community? Is there anything else that you want to, tell the world that you've been doing or you're going to do or anything like that before we finish up?
I would say that this is taking my full-time energy, effort, time. So I think this is pretty much it. We're growing fast, bringing partners on board, and I am day and night with this pretty literally. I dream about it, I wake up with it, I go to sleep with it, but in a healthy, balanced, grounded manner.
Yeah, but
So
that's lovely, and it's lovely for those of us that, like yourself, get the gift of being able to live that heartfelt purpose. It's absolutely amazing. So
mm,
anybody who's listening out there, have a look at all the messes you've had or the tragedies you've had in the past and turn them into triumphs or messages to help other people exactly the same way that Lauren has done. Or just look at what you love doing, what you're good at doing, and what you can add value to people in some way or form or something like. Or if you're out there and you can't change, remember about the energy of what you do and how it adds value to an end customer in some way or form, even if it's interlinked indirectly. It can give you a sense of purpose because then you can live and see the smile on the face that like Lauren has now, and is bringing that joy to the world as we can see. And having spent time with you off camera, I have to say, you really are truly doing amazing things and also truly coming from that heart space. And you really are like an angel, I have to say. So, just tell people how they can get in touch with you and what your website is.
we are called Samavira Meditation. You can find us anywhere under that name, pretty much any channel out there, online, offline. Samavira Meditation.
Lovely. Excellent.
Mm.
Lauren, it's been an absolute pleasure having you on the show, and I wish you every success with your mission going forward.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Doug, and all my very best to you. I'm a fan of you and your work as well.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you.
My name's Doug Gordon, and you've been listening to Lauren Schuivens on Inspirational People, Inspirational Stories. I'll be back next week with another inspirational guest. In the meantime, if you need to get in touch, please contact me at doug@dougdgordon.com. From all here on the team of the show, I wish you a truly inspirational week and look forward to seeing you next time. Bye for now.